Lisa, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Stranda. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. I came across this video on my For You, and I thought to share where white women are actually having emotional breakdown to the fact that, oh my god, people are just like, people hate us, even if we are still trying our best. This actually got people reacting, and I was able to put up some stage from a sister. I'm just going to roll the clip to correct some narratives of white women who often think this way that, oh my god, these people dislike us and now they want to control us. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. All right, lovelies, let's dive into it.
Okay, so Aria Avalon, what other option do white women have? Everyone else hates us. Everyone has been very vocal about white women being on their own after the election. Now our abuser is turning up the abuse to control us. Okay, so I wanted to be able to discuss this comment, but we have to make some agreements before we go into this, okay? Thing number one, there is no dogpiling. This is a educational space. We're exchanging information. Thing number two is that for any white woman that listens to this video, please resist the urge to feel guilty or to hate yourself. That's not what this is. We are exchanging facts. And in order for us to exchange facts and deconstruct ideologies that are not helpful to the forward progression of society, we must deal with the facts. And sometimes the truth is scary. Okay? Thing number three, and the most important thing, please leave not everybody outside of these comments. This is not, this is talking about the general society. Okay. So please know I'm not like this. Not every white woman. Okay. So these are all the agreements that all of us have agreed to make. Great. So let's move forward. Okay. Now, I want to be able to tell you about the thing about white women, because I also saw your other comment where you said that white women have been fighting as well. But I want to let you know that that hasn't been long. White women have not been fighting for long. So just let me tell you a little bit about the backside of white women when it comes down to the oppression in the United States of America. Because the myth that has been circulated is that all the way back to even slavery, slavery was kind of like a white man's thing. But let me tell you how white women were a part of slavery. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in 1669, right, with the Casual Killing Act. The Casual Killing Act was explicitly passed, hear me, was explicitly passed because white women were unaliving mixed children in very cruel and alarming ways. To be specific, they were using methods such as boiling them, skinning them, torturing them, and beating them to death. Like those were the methods that were utilized. Also, did you know that slave skin was used for shoes? Okay, so this is what women were doing to slaves. And it got so bad that there had to be a law that was passed in order to protect them because white men did not want to hold them accountable. You can double check all of my reference. This one is coming from The Ohio State University, as well as other places. Okay, this is documented stuff. Alrighty. So we know that this is how women were engaging with slaves. Fast forward, right? And now you have the Mississippi Married Women's Property Law of 1839. Okay. And this is very important because a lot of people didn't believe that white women owned slaves, but they did. And this particular law, as well as others like it, allowed for them to be able to take over the wealth of the property should their husbands pass away, and for other reasons that they ended up receiving this type of wealth. Now, this is very different than what was happening in the North. And the reason why it's different than what was happening in the North is because in the North, they were underneath coverture, which for coverture meant that whatever the woman owned belonged to her husband when she got married. So Southern women were richer than Northern white women. And this is very important when you talk about white women supporting some of the things that were going on in the oppression of others in the South, especially when it comes down to the Civil War, because the Civil War had the same outcome for white women in the South that it did for white men in the South, which was everybody was finna be stripped from their wealth. Do you see why white women would support the oppression of others? Even though they themselves are also being oppressed. And this is what is confounding, is that white women, though they also were oppressed, didn't mind participating in the oppression of others due to their direct benefit of patriarchy and the direct benefit of their oppressor's oppression. Okay, now we gonna keep on going. Because studies also show that because white women in the South were able to own such property, that they accounted for 1/3 of slave transactions that happened in the South. 1/3. That is 33.333333 all the way off into eternity percent of the transactions. But transactions that involved slave women, white women were participating in the marketplace for those transactions at a 40% clip. Now, that's what was happening during slavery. Let's go ahead and fast forward. And this history we all know a little bit more about, right? The weaponizing of white women's tears is what ended up occurring by the time we get to Jim Crow, by the time we get to lynching. Right? And there are a lot of different examples that we have of white women lying on people, getting them unalived, and white women coming out to say, oh, by the way, lied about that right before they pass away. That is no different than what actually happens here in modern society. Like now that we are fast forwarding, because remember, Emmett Till was in the 70s, 60s, 70s. As in 1960s, 70s. Okay, and remember, that white woman lied on him. And remember, she came out and said that she lied right before she passed away. Okay, so now we fast forward it. All right, to what happens in modern day. Some of the ways that this shows up in modern day is at work when white women go to superiors and bosses and they say that a person of color is not trying to be their friend, or a person of color is not talking to them, or they tried to be nice to them and they're not being nice back. This is another way that shows up. Because you have to know that you're going to go and tell them that would mean that somebody's going to come and do something about it, because that's the way that white women have been able to navigate this space and this earth. Everybody in America, and I would dare say everybody in the world, knows that a white man caves at the tears of a white woman. And how do I know this? My sociology class. At the end of last week of that class, we were able to ask other minority or other ethnic groups questions that we wanted to know about them. And as you can see, I'm a bit of a chatty person. And so I myself was called upon to ask the first question. And the very first question that I asked was to my white colleagues. And I asked them, why do you guys cry when you don't get your way? Because my black women's tears don't move anything. Okay. But why do you guys cry? And they honestly answered and was like, we were taught to do that so that we can get what we wanted. Now, mind you, this sociology class was run by a white woman, and she was mixed with white and Native American. And she was also somebody that participated in the civil rights. Love this woman down. Okay. Now, the reason why people are saying that white women are on their own is because white women, just like every other group except for black women, benefit due to the proximity or in some form fashion from the oppression that white men put on everybody else. And in this moment, white women have to fend for themselves because the rest of us are fending for ourselves. And that's why. And it hasn't been long that you guys have had to fend for yourself because of your stance and being able to help support minority groups. And is it easy? No, because there's a price to be paid to stand up for what's right. but to give in because it's hard. And to give in because other minority groups aren't fighting for you, with you, isn't fair. Because you haven't fought for them with them for that long. All right, not too much. I do agree with your sentiment, but I would say that it more so shows them who their family was. And it also adds context for them about why the older generation of their families are very reluctant, hesitant, or it is difficult for them to understand what they're saying about how others are being mistreated and how they would need to stand up for the mistreatment of minority people groups. Because there's a generational difference. The thing about traumas and familial stories and habits is that they're intergenerational, right? So if one generation experiences a negative situation, they teach their kids, and then their kids teach their kids, and then their kids teach their kids, and then their kids teach their kids. The only way to find out if the story is true or not, it goes back to proximity. Proximity to people of color have taught a lot of the millennials, Gen Zers, Gen Alphas, and even some of the Gen Xers that the story that has been passed down from generation to generation isn't true. And because because the information has been attached to that specific, these younger generations, that's why they are so staunchly different in their stance than older generations. That's why you kind of have this us and them thing that's kind of happening with a lot of white people in their families. It is very important to understand the beginning, the origin of a story. Because yeah, people that were raised in that generation, people that were raised in that era, it is very, very difficult to unlearn habits and beliefs that are foundational to who you say you are and how you navigate this world. It is literally a shifting of an entire mental paradigm. And that's not an easy thing to just change, right? Like when you take a look at this current administration, President Trump was alive before desegregation. His parents was alive during sharecropping. You see what I'm saying? Like, so these type of beliefs that he has are very, very deeply rooted because of the generation that his family comes from, if that makes sense. All right, so Melissa says, how does rolling back DEI affect white women? I'm confusion. And it's okay that you're confused. It's a part of the plan that you're actually confused. And that's because people would like to associate DEI with Black people or minorities only. Same exact thing with affirmative action as being assigned to socially Black people or minorities. But that's why people are able to be taken advantage of. Because you don't know that white women fit DEI. DEI is all about intersectionality of marginalized groups, right? So part of the marginalized group section is women. It's not the white part, it's the women, right? But the reason why it heavily impacts white women is because in that women's section, you have the majority who has opted to focus on white women the most when it comes down to receiving initiatives that even the playing field on a gender basis, right? Outside of that, very similar to how affirmative action was overturned because Asian Americans didn't think that affirmative action actually impacted them and assisted them. This is also why DEI, misconstruing it to only apply to Black people, helped fed into the Republican narrative that Black people were somehow getting ahead, right? So what are some other things that fall underneath DEI? Breastfeeding rooms at work. I don't know if you knew this or not, but rural areas are considered DEI locations because of the fact that people that come from rural areas will go off and get education, and let's say like doctors and stuff like that, they tend to go back home. So they need more doctors that will go to rural areas. If they're from city places, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to go to rural America. That group of people is also considered DEI. those that are hearing impaired or have hearing disabilities or difficulties rather. Same exact thing with those that have physical difficulties. Same exact thing with our military personnel. Like, DEI covers more than just ethnicity. And that's one thing that the broader United States citizenry needs to understand, is that DEI is not just for minority group populations. DEI covers any people group that fits underneath a marginalized people group. That includes those that have dyslexia. And that's what the DOE is there for, to be able to uphold DEI and allow for equal opportunities for those that learn differently than others. So I hope that answers your question, son.
Just like the sister Stitch her video, said in the first, stitch I put up here, talking about how a pan-colored woman left a commentaries that white women have been fighting, have been doing their best, but it's as if people are still disliking them, and also people want to control them because of the situation. White women, have been fighting, not for so long. And they decided to, start speaking up, maybe because of how people have called them out. That is just the truth. Some white women have been so relaxed. These white women have been so, oh my God, if it doesn't affect me, so I don't care. And I think that white women or pan-colored women are beginning to speak out now because it is affecting them. And if it's not even affecting them directly, it's affecting someone that they care about. They are beginning to speak out right now because they now see that this has nothing to do with they are beginning to see the truth that people that looks like me have been trying to tell them for a very long time. This is why it's as if they're coming out, even if they are not in fully in supportive, because you can still not trust this. We are coming out, we are supporting, and all of that. Why I say so is just because of what happened during this town hall meeting where a pan-colored woman decided to stand up to speak against the abortion ban, and all of a sudden she was asked to leave the town hall meeting. When she declined and trying to fight for her right and freedom to speech or to speak, she was forced, physically forced, by two grown men, dragged outside. Do you know what happened? These black women, white women or pan-colored women, we were supposed to be speaking out. We were supposed to stand out and stand tall and trying to oh my God, we are in support of her. You're not going to drag her. There is no how 1, 2, 3, or 10 women will stand up and defend her that will actually make these people to treat this woman the way they treated her. I stitched the video. The video went viral on the social platforms. I stitched it and people were so shocked. Even if they are fighting, they are not fighting with their full spirits. Let me just use that word. They are fighting with their half spirits. They saw this woman being dragged out from a town hall meeting because she was standing up for women or for womanhood. And they were just looking at her. Some of them were just taking pictures. None of them stood up. None of them stood up by her. Everybody was like, oh my God, I didn't say nothing. She is the one, she's the villain, so you have to. People were just looking at her. They were even laughing. So I'm like, is that a part of the standing up? That is not standing up. You are not even let us assume that in that situation, it was actually a black woman that was dragged away. What do you think is going to happen? That is the stand up. That is the standard that black women are talking about. You saw your own fellow sis, your sis, being dragged and disgraced because she is talking about and standing up for what concerns you. What you should do was to like, why are you treating her this way if she has the freedom to speak or to speak? But you you even encourage those men to humiliate her the way they were humiliating her. And you think that these men will take you guys serious. They won't take you guys serious because you are speaking A, but in times of action, you don't do nothing. This is exactly why people that looks like me still do not feel safe in your space. They still do not want to trust you because it is so easy to come to the social platform to advocate that, oh, I'm anti Ray and cis, I'm advocating for black women, black people, blah blah blah. But when the time for the real thing comes, also you will see them all quiet, like this chicken that rain has fallen on. This cold chicken with their feathers all, is that is standing up. And now they're trying to manipulate the system, trying to like make it look like, oh, black or other people who are talking about black women speaking up want to use the opportunity to control. No, they are actually letting you know that there is a way to do things right. You not being in participant of humiliation does not really mean that you are not an accomplice. I said this because some of these people will see where their Ray and sister, uncle, brother, or sister do so thing. Instead of them to speak out and caution this person, they'll just pretend, oh, since I'm not the one that's doing this, so I am not involved. But you know that you have all of the influence to change that narrative there and make or educate this person, make this person to understand that, oh, this is talking about them standing up. It is because black women are all white women are beginning to see what people that looks like me have been trying to tell you for a very long time. It's beginning to affect everyone. If it's not affecting you, your household, it might affect your daughters, your womanhood, your rights to speech and everything. You're speaking up right now, a little bit speaking up right now because it's affecting you. Okay, I think that this April 5th is going to prove a lot of things. It's going to, let's see what the outcome will look like. That is when we'll know that, oh, these Bangalore people have done something so magical. Anyway, lovelies, why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. Please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. So, lovelies, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you, lovelies, when I upload the next one.